This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. The weekly supervisor meeting at the courthouse, available by GoToGate also and recorded for future reference. We have an agenda in front of us. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion is our second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve the minutes of the November 12th meeting and claims. Look at them. A motion to approve the November 12th.
So moved.
A motion is our second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye?
Mike,
Aye.
Cindy, Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
County attorney general discussion.
Well, regarding the New Haven property, Rachel has a resolution. If can't be presumptuous, if it passes. And I see there's a couple guys here, I assume they're here for that. If that passes, then what I will do is I'll have you guys do the deed separately. Mike and Rachel sign it, but I'll have, we'll get the check. I don't care where that check goes. I mean, it could go in our trust account until it clears, which I have absolutely no reason to think that it won't. Or it can go straight to the county. Doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, it depends. When we're doing private closings, you always have that. Well, I'm not gonna give you the check till you give me the deed. I'm not giving you the deed till you give me the check. So you have an escrow, which is usually the attorney that puts it in a trust account. I don't need to mess with all that here, but either way, if it passes, I'll get the deed over to you guys. I got it drafted. I got two different versions drafted, but they changed all the groundwater hazard statement stuff, or at least it's confusing to me. So I'm getting that ironed out. We'll get the deed signed, get the check situated. I will probably check with the Cemetery Association. I'll tell them, get a check for the recording fee, me, and then if they want, I can record the deed, all that stuff. Otherwise, they can do it on their own, but I'm willing to do it. I'll have Rachel sign a certificate of clerk, with the resolutions attached, and we'll go from there. So you don't need to remember all of that. I just got to let you know that that's, I guess, how I plan to do it.
Anybody else have anything for the attorney? All right, sheriff update.
Good morning. One thing for you, I'll try to explain it, something that's very difficult to explain. So beginning in 2021, Emily, the sheriff's clerk, began to notice that it did appear as though we were getting the appropriate amount of fees back from the state. Whether that was room and board fees, whether it was percentages that are attached to traffic violations, all the fees that the sheriff's offices and counties are entitled to from the law enforcement side, the numbers weren't adding up. We would get checks, we didn't cash them because we felt that if we cashed them, we agreed to their numbers. And so we held those checks. We took information to the county attorney's office. We also wrote court administration a letter, created a file about all of this. Come to find out, Emily was correct. And the program that the state of Iowa, computer program that the state of Iowa was using, was flawed, and it affected all 99 counties. So they have recently discovered that between the auditor's office and the state legislature. The bottom line is Mitchell County is out about $75,000, and you won't be reimbursed for that. State says they don't have any money, they're not going to pay us. I can make that report available to you if you want to see those figures. There was 43,000 in room and board, fees that we should have received and didn't. 30-some thousand in other fees associated with our office. So, that's just Mitchell County, all 99 counties were affected in some way. It's been in the newspaper, if you've seen a headline or something about $7.5 million, in fees across the state of Iowa, weren't properly reimbursed. And so everybody points fingers at everybody in Des Moines, but nobody's ever held accountable. So county would be out that 75,000.
So their mistake and they more or less say, too bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have a new computer program now that's supposed to be better. We'll see. Emily was right, but they didn't want to hear it. At Mason City Court Administration, they're in Des Moines, that we felt there was, numbers weren't matching. So anyway, just in a nutshell, if you receive anything from Des Moines about court fees coming to the county, or Rachel would, essentially that's what it's about, that you'll receive no money. And we'll make that report available if you want it. If somebody wants a copy of it, I'll make it available to you.
So that's over a period of 3 years?
From 21 till current.
Going forward, they're gonna,
Well, state government, they say so, Mike.
they say so.
Yeah.
Do you have the hard copy checks in a file?
Yeah, we have well, Todd, we did for a period of time. We made copies of those, and then at some point we did cash them. But we have the file. I can review all that. It's pretty thick file.
But at the time, every time you cashed those checks, they were good.
Oh, yeah. We just want to correct them out.
Yeah, okay. I think you talked to us about this one.
Yeah, I think I did too. Yeah.
So,
And finally, it's like, do we take what they're gonna give us or nothing at all? So anyway, we're on about 75,000.
We actually did, Sheriff Emily came to me, and it was a little confusing to me. It took me a while to get my head around what it was. But we did actually go to local court administration. I think we must have gone to the state auditor too. I don't know, I have to look back, but everybody said everything was fine, I don't know.
Anyway, it wasn't, Emily knew it, so. But anyway, if there's any other questions you might have.
Did they use the 7 million to buy a new computer?
They don't know where I'm sure.
Yeah.
They don't have any money here, at least none that they can give the county. Any one of us would have done that, we've been in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I'll take any questions you have or any questions from the citizens here, so. Okay, thank you.
Department head discussion.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Conservation Board had our monthly meeting last week. We had our dam update repairs of what's going on with Mitchell Dam. We had payment number 1 go out. Repairs are moving along as processed. We're hoping to finish up here by the first week of December, so that project should be wrapping up. That's what our time frame is right now. We'll see if this rain does anything to affect that, but right now we're moving on that. Equipment sale, we're gonna be selling a couple trucks and some solar panels that we have, so those will be going up on sealed bid. We have a donation display opportunity that's been offered to the Conservation Board and some unique taxidermy designs, so we're kind of debating on if that's something the board wants to go ahead and accept, and the board tabled that till the next meeting. We did discuss the December, January and our budget process with the information and our meeting set with you guys for January 8th. Our board moved our January meeting instead of being the second Tuesday of the month, we're now going to go to the first Tuesday of the month, which will be January 7th, because I think we're on it January 8th is our time schedule with you, with the supervisors starting next year. So we made sure we moved our board meeting up for our budget process. And then we had a closed session on a possible land acquisition that the board is discussing on all that. Can't go into that right now as we're still in negotiations on that aspect of it, but that's kind of what's going on. Any questions for me? All right,
Thank you.
thank you guys, have a good day.
Any other department head discussions? Nothing? County engineer update.
Morning.
Good morning.
Not much to discuss, but I do have a couple things here. In order to get the, our Echo Avenue Bridge in, well, we had a program for fiscal '24, planned on letting it in fiscal '24. Ran into some environmental and some design things that slowed us down. We already had budget and program done before June, obviously, and for the '25 fiscal year. So I got to bring it back into the fiscal '25 program, which doesn't really affect any budgeting because it's going to be bridge money. And then I'm bringing in two other bridges from last year that didn't get built locally, which might not we might not create a project with them, we might just do them locally, those indigo bridges. I got information from the engineers 2 weeks ago on what we can do with those, so we can get them built maybe with our own staff. But to get the Echo Bridge in, I need to get they call it a revision for the program. So if I can get that approved, I can get that put back in, and then NICOG can bring the project back into the STIP so that we can get it let in, I think, December. So.
Need a motion to approve secondary road CFYP version 1.
Move to approve.
Motion is our second.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Hey.
And the only thing I have is, and I think I kind of gave you guys a heads up, we're gonna do a construction engineering contract with WHKS when our grant bridge gets built. Because of federal funds and what we've got planned for next year, I don't think the staff we have can cover all those projects at one time, and it's gonna be bridges are a little bit more difficult to manage than just roadways, so we're gonna have them back in. But we probably won't do that until we know who the contractor is, so we don't end up like we did on the last bridge and get a tough contractor to work with and have extra fees. Also, I'll bring it next week, Rachel, if you want to put on the agenda, another professional services agreement for the new federal requirements for evaluating our bridges for emergency vehicles. Some of the vehicles that we got information back for are not standard, don't have standard axle distances and weights, so we've got to evaluate all 156 bridges for emergency vehicles now, which is a requirement. So there'll be a fee for that, to have them do that, and then we're also gonna include that into our all systems permit evaluation to find out what bridges we can and can't route. The new state legislature's mandate on 12% overweight vehicles that get their permit through the state to run on the roads, which you can run them on the roads, you just can't cross posted bridges. So whatever bridges we have, the state wants us by July of 25 to have our route. They want all the farm to market routes on the annual oversize or overweight permit. And if you can't get your farm to market routes on there, they want to know why. And every county is going to say it's because of the bridges. So we've got to get it evaluated though, so we can actually find out if we do have some that could qualify. There's not going to be many, I think, but we'll go from there once we get the evaluation. And we'll put that on for next week's agenda.
Will it be different than the annual bridge inspections, or will it be part of?
This is just calculations. I've been trying to get the local fire departments to send me their truck weights and their axle configurations so we can get it evaluated. I haven't been very successful in getting all of them to submit something. It's kind of difficult for them to kind of go through and get everything weighed. We do have some, and I think the larger fire departments in the county have the larger trucks that are maybe not configured as a normal vehicle, so we're kind of using them right now until I can get more information, but we can at least get.
Will there be how will that be posted, or are they just gonna be notified that they can't use that?
I think it's gonna affect the standard postings that we have now for the tandem axles, the semis, and the trucks with pups. I don't know that they're gonna change the signage so much, but they'll fall into one of those categories, which will probably just be the standard tandem axle.
And then they'll be notified that you can't use that road.
Well, let's be honest, if there's a fire,
Yeah,
you're gonna use the bridge anyway, so it's kind of,
right.
I-
There is at the fire station, there is a large map right by the dispatch, all three departments. And I'm guessing if and when it happens, they would put, all the bridges that are not legal for them to cross.
we put on our 511 system. Right now, we've got it, we're working on getting all of our bridges posted. We have the map here, and we tried to put that on the website, but we're updating it now with it falls within, if we put it on our road closure program for the Service Bureau, we put it on our map, then it gets put through the 511 system so that the public can see the 511 through the state's 511. So if we've got posted bridges, all they gotta do is look at that and they'll see throughout the county what the postings are. And what I put on it is the road is the bridge is restricted and what the weights are so that truckers can plan their routes accordingly with the bridges. So whether people use it or not, it's just another tool out there, but it's available. So once I get it finalized, and then we'll update it every 2 years when we get our bridge inspections done. So, but it's another requirement we gotta come up with, and it's gonna be about $35,000.
So isn't there some roads that can be overweight because they don't have bridges on them?
Yeah, but
They're not on the map yet.
they want, until we get all of the ones evaluated, I mean, yeah, you can open a gravel road to the oversized overweight, but they can't get to a highway because the highway doesn't take it anyway, so it's really a moot point. And right now, they just want to get the farm to market routes opened up. But yeah, we could probably start figuring out routing. When we first put this together, it was a matter of just trying to get some of the fees that the state was collecting. So I think we have 1 or 2 routes in the county right now that can take it because they're highways without bridges on it. But most other highways that we have, they want routes. They don't want partial routes. They want routes that connect to another highway on the map. Now, we could open gravel roads up to certain locations, but once they get to a highway, then they can't really go anywhere. So being overloaded doesn't help you at all if you're on a gravel road and you can't get to the market. But there are some.
Yeah, it's a whole
It's
littered with bridges.
it's a sticky thing because if they don't want us to partially allow a partial road to be legal, then I think the bigger thing is that while I understand why everybody wants to run heavier loads, it's less trips. It's causing, just the 12% increase in weights is causing multiple percentage points of damage to the roads. Obviously, you can't see damage all the time, but it's it's not a 1-to-1 ratio that 12% increase in weights, 12% more increase in damages. It's higher than that. And sooner or later, what are we gonna do? If the state doesn't have money to give us to fix our bridges, we don't have the money to fix our bridges, but everybody wants to run heavier weights. Why legislate all this stuff in if we can't even keep up with it? Now, the state highways are a different story. They've got the heavier designed roads because that's the way the state system was built. Yet the caveat is, yeah, the state says, yeah, you can run your 12% on state roads and local roads. We have to abide by it. But the federal system, you can't. So why can the federal system not allow these heavy loads, but we have to? So it's just kind of a weird thing, but just kind of an FYI, we're gonna spend some more money on some bridge rating calculations so we can probably post more bridges, so.
You have the funds to do it.
We'll have to, yeah.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
Okay.
So, anyway, just an update.
I have a question and probably can't answer it, but I was talking with some people last week and, on bridges and loads, the strong arm, the axle that comes down from the back, is that causing some issues with 2 trucks on a bridge?
If the bridge is posted for 1 truck at a time, then it's posted for 1 truck, whether it's a strong arm or not. And I know that some of the local, the quarries that are running strong arms I've been told they've probably been eliminating them because they're a maintenance headache, but they're still out there. And even those trucks, I think on some of those trucks or almost all the strong arms, they're the bridge length, which is the length from the axles, not necessarily the bridge. Some of those don't meet the qualifications, so now you got a 7-axle tandem truck that confines all the weight into a smaller footprint, which doesn't always meet the requirements for the bridge postings that are up too. But if the bridges and the engineers that do the evaluations, they evaluate all of what they're required to evaluate for the tandem loads in the special haul vehicles. And I think that falls into that special haul vehicle category.
One of them was from
Yeah.
Fox, and that's what they said, they're a nightmare, and Crolls still have a lot of them, probably, don't they?
Yeah, I think they run quite a few when they're paving on their dump trucks. I don't know if they're hauling a lot of aggregate with it or not. I don't see a lot of their trucks around here unless they're on a paving project, but.
I think they were telling, I'm just listening, and they said that if one of them strong arm tires blow and stuff, it's a real dangerous situation, and they can really, so maybe they'll be gone someday.
Well, maybe. I mean, it seems to me the trucks are built for those type of weights, but legally you put that kind of weight on a highway and you lose control. That's something you don't want to run into. Plus, the roads and bridges weren't built for those type of loads and that type of a confined footprint. So, yeah.
Thank you.
It's never easy. We're trying to keep up, but. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Well, we have to wait till 9 o'clock for the public hearing, so we can go down to meetings attended.
I had a NICOG meeting last night. Just one of the main items of interest. NICOG runs 60 buses, and the state used to, when they purchased these buses, the state would reimburse 82 to 85% of the cost, but they capped it at $100,000. Now the price of the buses has exceeded that. So through a lot of conversation with the state, I guess they're gonna up that amount so that they can still, it can still be feasible for NICOG to, and this is not just NICOG, this is all the COGs in the whole state, to be able to provide that service. Another thing is that the federal government decided that when, so you have an old bus and you're gonna sell it because you're gonna buy new buses. So they would allow up to $5,000 for the sale of the bus, but anything over the $5,000 mark, the federal government said, well, and I don't remember what the percent is, maybe they didn't even say it, but they want to claw back over the $5,000 amount, a large amount of the percentage. Let's just say it went for $15,000, well, then they wanted to claw back $10,000 of that because they originally helped with the funding of the bus. And that's also not gonna be very feasible because it just doesn't pencil out for the numbers for any of the COGs to do the service. So that's another thing that's been a challenge that hopefully is gonna get resolved. So that's all I had.
And,
I had a conservation board meeting, but Mike went over that, so.
At the Heartland Insurance meeting, we had a seminar for elected officials, newly elected, and they went over understanding moratoriums, legal basics for the elected officials. Question and answer afterwards.
First I was invited to a FMC early childhood last Thursday down in Butler County. We've all been talking about what the state's gonna do with all these committees, and so we were on it for an hour on possibly, well, for sure, talked about sharing a coordinator because ours at Floyd County is retiring at the end of the year, and hoping that possibly merging with Butler County. So the Butler County director she's all on board with running both meetings. She had a breakdown of moving she will not be making any more money. It's just we're putting her time in to the both counties. So the Butler County voted to move forward with it. And then last night I had a ECI in Floyd County, ours, Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw. And Shauna, the one that she's willing to do both counties, was there, and our board voted to continue moving forward. Shauna's working with the state, make sure everything is legal and we can do this, which so far they're all for it because the state doesn't even know what they're gonna do yet with all these committees, you know. So we're hoping January 1, Shauna will lead both meetings. That for until June 30th, which is our fiscal year. And if it's working, we're hoping that they'll let us merge both counties together. So the counties it would be Floyd, Mitchell, Chickasaw, and then we would merge with Bremer, Butler, Franklin, and Grundy. And that's 7 counties, and there's about 3 other counties merging 7, like a 4 and a 3. But there is 2 that are up to 9. So we're gonna have a very good group, the way it looks, if they let us do that. And I'm nervous because if something's working good, our legislature might decide to move a different direction, but I think it's gonna work out. It's gonna be a little more work for Shauna, but she's willing to take on. She's been a director for about 24 or 5 years, so she's.
When you say merge, is it just sharing the director, or is it gonna be these 2 entities grouped and it's gonna be one giant meeting for everybody?
Yeah, if possible, if we can merge, we will all meet together. And Gloria Carr, who is Floyd's auditor, ran for supervisor, so she's moving to a supervisor position. And she has been our secretary treasurer for years. So between the personnel that we're gonna be surrounded by, we're really not losing a whole lot other than like Laura Christensen, the director, but we're gaining Shauna and Gloria. She's very good at her job, so. Right now, there'll be 2 meetings for the first from January to June. And then hopefully we can merge and so, the meeting down in Butler County was top notch. They were, I only went to one, but I'm not afraid to jump in with that county, so. We'll go from there. And that was it.
All right, we got a minute yet. Any public comments?
Well, you're only gonna give me 30 seconds?
60. We'll have it afterwards too. Public comments after.
I had a few things I wanted to say.
Sure, we'll wait, or whatever you want to do.
Can we do it now?
You got a minute.
Okay, I'll be quick. I've been researching more into Bitcoin mining.
Maybe we'll just.
Never mind.
You lied.
I'll take more in a minute.
It's 9:00. We can open the public hearing. Any oral or written comments received?
I had positive comments throughout this whole process.
I've worked at the cemetery, so yes.
I've had people ask why it didn't go up for bids.
Same, both ways, I guess, yeah.
I just positive things on how we'll decide, possibly deciding to do it.
Sure. Rachel, have any? Any from the public?
I'd like to contest it.
Sure.
I think it should be open to the public, you know. Why say one person gets to say, okay, we get it at this price and that's it. But I know investors that would invest in it.
Sure. Any other public comment? Public?
Well, I am the person that was interested in the cleaned lot, so I also was wondering why, or if it was going to be up for public bid.
Okay.
Or if not, what the process was behind why it was not up for, bidding.
We discussed that, and the majority of the board decided to go with St. Peter's Cemetery, so if it goes through, I guess it'd be majority.
Question is, don't you think you get more out of the property?
Yes, I did, think so, yeah.
So I'll speak to that also. I guess, my thought is that it's in the best public interest for the cemetery to have it because it's for the better of the area. So
Would it be
that's my
better
thought.
for the county to have more money, though, for a property that is valued more than what they're receiving?
Sometimes you have to weigh the best of the public interest as compared to the money that would be brought in for it. That's my thought.
I have a little input on it that, since 2019, after they cleaned them up for the first time, he just filled it back in. And, so since we've been elected, the locals have been on us about what are we gonna do with it? But it was the locals and the locals only. Nobody else seemed to talk about it. And so through the process of this, I talked to the cemetery, I talked to the neighbor, this is just what I did. And both entities were interested, and that was it. And they sat there for, before 19, I don't remember how many years it was, with this place being trashed. And the phone calls that I got since I've been elected was from nobody, not one from the cemetery, not one from the people that live next door. It was all other people. So when we started the process, I said to myself, I think the first thing we're gonna do once we get it cleaned off, because once it's cleaned off, people are gonna go, wow, look at what we have here. But I've decided that the cemetery and the person next door have been interested for years. So that was just the reason would like to see the cemetery, end up with it.
What would your plan for the property be? Did I ask or not?
My plan for the property, I purchased it, well, I wanted to bid it and then kind of go forward. And obviously people always look into what can they do to make money. And as an investor, that's exactly what you do. How can the people selling it make money and how can the investor make money? And so I was just going through my options at that point on what this, and on the curve, it is a very nice property. I don't know much about the before, I guess, when it was full of junk. I guess I don't know what that did, but looking at it now, it's got a good location, and there are definitely opportunities available for an investor to make that property worth more.
Our planning and zoning came in and mapped out what it would look like to put a house or a shop or anything. She said it just wasn't feasible. There wasn't enough room for a septic or a leach field or anything like that.
There
For
was
a
a
best-
house on, right?
What?
There was a house on the property.
Yes.
Uninhabited.
Well, I was gonna say, when I went to Google Maps to look at it first, before I drove, I'm assuming it was still the junk that because that's what's on Google Maps from a while ago. Yet there was a house and a shop on the property.
There was like a shared well and a shared septic is what I was. But she said that if she mapped it out, that it just wasn't feasible to put a house or anything like that. And I feel like it's in the best interest for the church and cemetery to have it because they park on the side when there's funerals and there's church, and they are parking in the right of way. So to give them some space to have a parking lot to get off those vehicles off the right of way, because we have a lot of semis going through, it would be just better for them to have it. And that neighbor would like to expand their house, and they have talked with them and willing to work with each other, so.
And to say there was a lot of junk is an understatement.
Yeah, like I said, I saw the Google pictures, it's about as far as I can go with what I knew about it. If you look at Google Earth, the street view, yes, it was pretty bad, and it's not to say it's not just good for a house. There are other, I'm not doing this, but I'm saying, if you go as far as it could be for storage, it could be, storage spaces, it could be, there's so many things, yes, that property right there could be for. And I understand that they might have made a deal with the neighbor and that's great, but I guess where I'm coming from is as a tax sale, is that what it is?
No, this is just a sale, this is a sale of the county, is that correct?
Yeah, the tax sale proceedings were done before because the county, I'm not gonna go through all that process, I don't have time. It took a lot of time, I know that. County got that, county got that through tax sale proceedings, you can say that. Now the county's just selling. I don't make any policy, that's board decision, but as far as questions as why it wasn't bid, doesn't have to be. Somebody might say, well, it might be better public policy if it is. I don't know, I guess you can argue that either way. At the same time, I don't live there, but if I did live there, and I have had people say this to me, I don't know if they were talking to me as county attorney or if they were just talking to me as a citizen, I don't know, but the things that were said to me was, we're a little bit concerned of what's gonna happen to that property afterwards, and how's it gonna, we don't wanna go through all this kind of a mess again. So I'm not gonna speak to the board, but sometimes it is other considerations other than who's gonna make the most money. Because if you end up with some kind of incompatible use that's just gonna be against, that doesn't fit in the community, then that's not good. So, that's kind of the deal.
And to go back on that, septic there, 3 houses to there's another building and there's a house, a built parking or a driveway, used to be the bar, and then the house next to the bar. A couple years ago had to redo their septic. They were not grandfathered in, and their septic had to go south, or leach fields, and bored under the road. So when I went out and looked at that, basically the property cannot go to the south because there's two residents to the south of the road there. So to go north, I guess I could have asked the property owner, but I just didn't feel like the neighbor said that her whole backyard is pretty much septic and leach fields.
Yes, I work for Holy Ocean Clusters, so I'm very involved with this whole process. I think 2 years ago in October, was it Erin Murphy, county attorney? Yeah, I was thinking you emailed our office, if you were gonna get this property, if we would be interested. And for the cemetery, we definitely was interested.
Yeah.
So this has been a 2 year, over 2 year.
And that was, as I recall, that was part of see, this has been going on so long, that was part of a different proceeding,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
right? I mean, because the county had filed a suit to get that property as abandoned, which abandoned in that legal sense doesn't necessarily mean abandoned like we think of it, but anyway, just for a lot of different reasons. One of, that ultimately didn't go through, but one of the requirements for that process was, the county had to have a plan of what they were gonna do with the property. And I think that was, if I recall, Mark Walk, who's also my private law partner at the time, and now we've got kind of a different setup, but I still work with him. But anyway, he'd been county attorney. And I was talking to him about it. Anyway, yeah, the reason I'm saying this is just to clarify for everybody that what was the communication and what was it for? That communication at that time was when I kind of took over that case, and the county had to have a plan. In other words, to go through with that case, the county had a plan what to do with the property. It had been suggested to me that the cemetery was interested in it, and I think that is, I don't remember where all those conversations, I mean, I probably got notes on it, but anyway, that's when I reached out. So that was a part of a different proceeding than what we're doing now, but yes.
That was one thing.
You are
I heard
correct.
complaints from people, parishioners that don't, it was on the church property, on the cemetery property, so it's been years of the struggle of oil drums and.
Yeah.
And appliances, it was, and our donor septic cannot handle anybody tapping into it, and we just won't do it.
Yeah.
So that would end, on the church property. I guess, that's the form what Kev was kind of talking about, is it's been going on for a lot of years.
Parking lot, how many parking spots you think they would go in there?
That would be for them as far as how they want to construct it. I don't know
The lot's not all that big if you give half to the lady next door and half for the parking lot.
that. That's up to who we sell it to.
So you don't have any idea how many parking spaces would be?
It's not for us to decide.
I'll just stay with my original statement. I think it's in the best interest of the community to have it as compared to what we will get out of it financially.
Any other discussion on the public hearing? Cemetery guys have anything? Or?
Just we appreciate the opportunity to keep it in the community and make it a better place than it was.
All right. Mr. Horgan?
As a citizen of the county,
Yes.
community betterment should always come before one other person making some money. The neighbors had to look at that for 40, 50 years, and now they don't have to. They're gonna take good care of it, and it's gonna look good. And I think that's the right thing to do. By the supervisors, unless you wanna go through this again in the future. You wanted to guarantee you wouldn't have to do this again. So put it in the hands of people you can trust to take care of it and want it to be what it should be.
Thank you, Keith.
Well, I think the safety component is huge too, so just as I hear you guys speak today, where you guys are talking about safety, like the semis and coming through and, the curb and stuff, and how people have to park out there, so I think, you don't wanna underlook, the safety of that community.
All right, any other? We close the public hearing at 9:14. Next, possible action including resolution sale, approval of deed, exclusion of deed, and attendant matters for the sale.
Mark, I have a question for the attorney. Aaron, what does it mean by attendant matters for the
Oh.
sale?
Let me look at the wording on that. I
It's at the end of the agenda item.
Yeah, what that means is, and like I said, I'd probably be a little more detailed than I need to. So along with doing the deed, you sometimes, in this case, it's not gonna be declaration of value, probably not gonna be groundwater hazard statement. County's not gonna have any expense as far as the recording, because that'll be them. But attendant matters, what I meant by that was basically, okay, possible action including the county authorizing the sale, approving the sale, directing it to go through, and doing whatever else they have to do to make it work. Right? And somebody says, well, what other kind of stuff are we talking about? And you're like, well, talking about the stuff of any real estate contract. It's like, well, in addition to signing the deed, you might have to do this form, you might have to do that form, you might have to do this form. So what I meant by that was approve the sale of this, executing the deed, and whatever else has to be done to make it legal.
All right.
I would move to make that motion.
All right, we have motions or second.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Roll call, Cindy,
Aye.
Mark,
All right,
Todd,
Aye.
Mike,
All right.
Jim.
Aye.
motion passes. We have a lot. Any other, now more public comments or more?
Now you won't.
You have all kinds.
Not too much. Penny Morse. I've just, been looking more into the Bitcoin mining in Iowa. I mean, what are the pros and cons? Like, I don't oppose something just to oppose it, just because it's bad. I don't know. But you guys are supervisors. You're probably in contact with other supervisors, and maybe you've already done this, but in Grundy County, they've had one there since 2019 or 2020. I mean, what's the feedback we've heard from supervisors there? I understand when the company wanted to expand there, they turned them down. I don't know why. Marshall County near St. Anthony, there's a population of 76. There's recently been a cryptocurrency mining operation opened up there, I think in June of this year. You maybe could ask the supervisors in Marshall County. I mean, what is the feedback they're getting? Woodbury County declined to issue a second permit for the Bitcoin mining operation near Salix. You might want to reach out. So they have one. Why did they decline the second application? Blackhawk has refused to rezone a land for cryptocurrency. So maybe you have reached out. I mean, some of the counties, when I was reading, like that have passed them, they require a noise buffering fence and a $75,000 security bond for future decommissioning. You might want to reach out. I think that was in Hardin County. They've done that. Have those noise buffering fences been effective? I mean, maybe you could find out where these things are in operation. I know it's the Board of Adjustments that makes the decision, but you're like the paid people. People are going to look to you, the supervisors, also to, you have a lot of skin in the game on whatever the decision is, and you maybe have more connections with supervisors in other counties to get some feedback from them that have these mining operations, have these noise buffering fences been effective? What's been the comments from the people that live around there? I just thought you were in a position to maybe get more feedback than members on the Board of Adjustment. So I would just encourage you I want to go make a trip. I'm going to do a little road trip and to some of these communities that have them. I want to just see for myself. And, like I said, like noise ordinances are tricky, so I don't know if you've looked into any noise ordinances that other counties may have passed. Because like I mentioned last week, you know, you could have unintended consequences. Are there some you could craft that would be, that counties have done that have found to be effective where they already have this? I think looking in the future, I think this is probably going to come up again. It seems like Bitcoin mining is really getting a big push, and Iowa has cheap utility rates. So I think it behooves the supervisors to get as much up to speed and as much knowledge about this. So if you make a decision one way or the other, you're pretty confident that it's the right decision for our county.
What did you term the $75,000 bond? What was
It was for future decommissioning. That's what, a $75,000 security bond for future decommissioning.
Okay.
That's what it said in the article. Whatever that means. It doesn't seem like there's much, you know, they just pick them up and move them, but, you know, and there's issues to, you know, the amount of energy they use. They sell themselves as using all this renewable energy, but if you look at where they're operated, well, it's, you know, like the one in Grundy, it's 52% is from coal, I think. I mean, you know, it's from a mix of sources, 20% renewable. It's, you know, but they kind of market themselves as renewable, but it's, you know, in Iowa, we're not all 100% renewable. We're a mix of energy for producing our electricity here. You know, and there's a big push to locate these operations here right now just because we have cheap electricity rates, but we get a whole bunch of Bitcoin mining operations here using up a lot of electricity. We probably won't have cheap electricity rates. And there's all the electronic waste from the, you know, the computers. So there's a lot of issues that need to be considered, which I don't know where they're at with the environmental impact study, but I would hope that all of that would be looked into, not, you know, the noise isn't the only issue with them, so.
Mr. Morgan.
I have a question. What kind of procedure has the federal, state, and county governments put in place regulating this new monetary system? Because it's just a fake banking system. It can also become a money laundering system. There are a lot of things to consider. How do you collect any tax money out of it? How do you know where your monies are going? What should be taxed and what shouldn't be taxed?
Well, some states have passed a right to mine law saying that local governments can't block them. Oklahoma passed the Bitcoin Bill of Rights mine. I mean, so states are handling it differently. That's all I'm saying. Some states are saying local governments can have no say. Others, Iowa has not done that. So right now, it's up to the county government to make a decision on it. So, and like I said, I just would like more information and look, I think as long as we've got some mining operations happening in Iowa, it would be useful to know in those communities, now that they're up and running, have like where they put up a noise barrier fence. Were they effective? I don't know. I don't have those answers. But just from my reading, I thought, well, we've got places we could look to to see, because people certainly have a lot of concerns about it.
You can go to Cedar Falls and look at where they have the utilities, where you turn off to go to Cedar Falls, utilities on the right-hand side, you can see their operation down there. So
Yeah,
that's
but like
one that you can visit.
the ones that are in little communities, kind of ours is one in a little, that's bigger, that's probably a bigger facility than the one that's here. I'd like to know from the communities that already have them. Is it?
Well, I believe Grundy Center and Blackhawk, one of the reasons they can't expand is because they're maxed out on the power. So, I know there's talk about some things around our area that I don't want to get into detail, but, the reason they picked Valiant was there was power there.
Right. No, I know why they picked it.
And, Heartland's willing to do work with Adam, and so when Grundy's out of power and Blackhawk, they're not going to, I mean, it costs a lot of money to change out those transformers and find new ones. So that's probably why those two counties have denied him or them.
I don't know, what the paper said is Grundy denied them because, and I think it was maybe at a different location. They were concerned it was too close to a park. That's what I don't know how accurate what I read is. And
The
you
one
probably have
that's
to talk to
there
people in
is-
Grundy County to see.
The one that's there is like 7 miles out of town and wants it,
It says 8 miles, but
or 8. Okay, so
I don't know. And I don't know if that affects, like I said, I don't really know. I just know we've got them in Iowa and.
in Black Hawk County, it sounds like they had, from what I was reading and talked to people, they had 20, I believe it was like 28% of electricity that they do not use. So when Bitcoin came in, they're using all 28%. They're the first ones cut off if we have a disaster or storms or whatever. And I was told that over time, it dropped Cedar Falls, everybody's utility bill by 3% because they were buying all that extra that they had, Blackhawk had available, Cedar Falls.
Well, like you made a decision about the land sale, it isn't always about money. I mean, something like if there's other things, if there's problems with noise, is there, you have to look at everything. It's not always, well, our utility rates dropped a little bit. It's the electronic.
But we have to look at that.
You have to look at the whole picture. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying we've got some places around the state we can look at and, we don't want to be inviting in a Trojan horse.
In the articles in black and white, the reason, it was a study that was done in California, the cheapest utilities in our nation. Guess what? Iowa stands out, and where do you think they're gonna go, Because Texas, I believe, they're leaving Texas to come here, so.
Sheriff, we talking about two different things here though. There are all kinds of computer banks that are being set down across the country. Like when you send your stuff to the cloud, it's going to one of these computer banks. Bitcoin's a whole different animal.
Right. I mean, there's different, there's like the cloud computing that takes a lot of energy but
Right, and
Bitcoin mining takes a lot of
nobody
energy.
even know who's buying Bitcoin. We have all kinds of foreign actors involved in that.
I know, we're old, it's like I still write checks. When my son goes and he just waves his phone at stuff or maybe his watch, I don't know, but, I'm pretty soon I'll have a chip in it, I don't know.
It's two different.
I'm gonna write a check and I'm gonna use cash. Bitcoin is something younger people do.
Sheriff, do you have something?
Yeah, I stepped out and maybe covered this, but Winnebago County has one. So you can drive over there and pull alongside and listen to it run, see if you think it's noisy or not. Get all the supervisors in Forest City and I'm sure they'll drive you out there and you can listen to it.
That's exactly what I was saying, contact the counties, find out what's the feedback from, you're gonna find some people don't care. Some people,
But if you
I
want
live by
to,
it and,
Penny, if you want to, go drive over there.
well, that's what I said I was planning to do.
Yeah. I got a sheriff sent me a snap or video thing running, so it's probably the closest one that I know of, the county comparable to us, so. That's all I have, thank you.
Is that the one in Thompson? Because I know there's one in
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yes, Amanda.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple things. Number one, Penny, I commend you on how much research you're doing on this whole situation. If I ever have a spot open up on my board, I want you. Number two, it is not their responsibility to do the research. So I implore you to please reach out to the Board of Adjustment to tell them to do the research, because they can do the research for their own knowledge, but they are not the ones who are going to be making the decision. So
But they're gonna hear from their constituents.
They will hear from them. Again, they can do the research for themselves, but they won't have a say in it.
I know.
So I implore you, please reach out to the members of the Board of Adjustment if you need their contact information.
No, I sent them all one email, and that was exactly where I was gonna head over to your office now.
Okay, perfect. If you need more contact information, please let me know. But just as a reminder to you guys, you do not make a decision on this. It is the Board of Adjustment. Please do the research for yourself. If you are wanting to dive into that, but you do not have to speak any further on the matter because you are not the ones who make the decision. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you again, Penny, for all of the research that you're doing. Okay.
Any other public comments? None? We'll adjourn at 9:30. Thank you.